Hey guys, it's Dr. Nate here, and what I want to talk to you about today is how to open a dental practice. So I've been getting a lot of feedback on how to become an orthodontist, how to become a dentist, how much it costs. That's like the number one question. But now let's say you've gone through all of that and you're done with school and now you're trying to find out how to open an office. And this is tough. So I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on this. And I'm going to give you the top 3 things that I think are important to open up a dental office. So first off, let me kind of give you my background just a little bit so you're not just thinking, hey, this is some guy who doesn't even own an office and he's trying to give me advice on how to open offices. So it's not quite like that. So for me, I am owner or part owner of 6 dental offices. All 6 have started from scratch, so we did not buy any offices. So this is our 6th one actually we're doing right now in the middle of coronavirus, so it's definitely challenging. And then we have another 2 on the go. So we definitely know how to open dental offices, and there's some tricks behind it. But the first thing I want to talk to you about, one of the most important things I think with opening an office is your mentality. And you might think, whoa, this is kind of foo-foo, whatever, I don't need the mentality, I just need the facts. But I think this is really important. I love reading, and there's a couple really good books on just entrepreneurship. There's a ton, actually. A couple of the good ones, or one of the good ones I think, is the E-Myth Revisited. That's by Michael Gerber. And he goes through this example. I think it's old. I don't know how old it is. But it goes through some examples on the different types of people that you're going to need to be when you become your own entrepreneur, which was when you're opening a dental office, you become an entrepreneur. So he goes through a couple of things. You need to be the entrepreneur. You need to have the vision. You need to be the manager too. So you need to manage people, manage your office, manage everything that's going on. But then you also need to be the technician. And that's the person who's actually in there doing the work, doing everything. And if you can't balance these things out, it becomes really stressful. Because say you start working, say you're an associate first, and you start working for somebody. All you do is you go into the office, you do your work, boom, 6, 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whenever the office is done, you get to leave, you're done for the day, so you're good. But then you're like, hey, you know what, I want to open an office, I know my owner's making all this money, I want to make all that money. But what you realize is once you open, you still have to be that dentist or that orthodontist or the technician actually working on the stuff. But you also have to be the manager. You have to manage people, manage your staff, manage everybody. And then you still have to be the entrepreneur. So you got to make sure your office is continuously getting better and better and better. So there's all these different roles you have to take on. And there's all these different methods to help you through it that you want to be, everybody says you want to be working on your business, not in your business. So you want to be able to kind of take that step back and say, hey, how are we going to make this business thrive and get better? So that's the first thing. I think mentality is super important. I read a ton of books before I got started, but I don't want that to stop you from getting started. I just think that's important to always learn and always get better and just have that mentality of like, hey, we're going to constantly grow and get better. So that's the kind of overall thing I think is really important. Number 2, this is more tactical, is like in real estate, location, location, location is important. You will not know what you're looking for. I mean, you're going to try your best, you're going to go through numbers, you're going to get some educated guesses, but you need somebody to help you. And there's a saying that says, hey, if you want to go fast, do things yourself. If you want to go far, you have to do things together. So if you want to get an office that's going to be great, and there may be more offices in the future, you need help. You need people who have actually done this before, they know what they're looking for. Somebody told me, and I believe this thing too, the worst thing you can do is just go, cool, I want to get a dental office, and then start driving around, driving to your local neighborhood, driving some other spot, and be like, oh, there's a for lease sign there, and there's a for lease sign there. Hey, let's call them up and see if it's going to be good, if I can get that. I agree with that. I think that's like the worst thing you can do because you don't know the numbers, you don't know how to negotiate. Maybe in your area, there's already 30 dentists in a small spot, so that's not even a good spot to be looking at. There's so much to contemplate when you're opening, so you need help. So you need a dental broker. And then you might be saying, oh, I don't want to spend all this money. I don't have much money right now. I don't want to spend all this money on a broker. Most, if not, well, not all, but most of the brokers will do it for free, quote unquote free. They're not getting paid by you. they're getting paid by the landlord, just like you would do it if you're buying a house or something like that. The landlord is the one who's paying the people to basically attract clients, and that's what you're doing. So you talk to a landlord, and talk to a broker. I have one that I love working with. He's been amazing, and we've used the same person for all of our offices, and we've used him for the next 2, so we're probably gonna use him for 10 offices. That is super important. They're gonna let you know what the demographic is of the area. They're gonna let you know the ratios. So you wanna have a good ratio of dentists to patients. So say if you're living in certain regions like Southern California, maybe New York is like this too, your ratio might be one dentist for 600 people, which is like a terrible ratio. But if you're living, so we're in Texas, if you're living here, you want a good ratio. You want one dentist for maybe every 2,000 people or 2,500 people, maybe 3,000 people. But that's not all. You want to look at the density of people. If you have one dentist for every 3,000 people, but you only have 3,000 people in that little area, sure, you go in there. What if somebody else comes in there? All of a sudden you cut your ratio in half. So that's, you have to look at more than just like one number. There's a lot of different factors that are going into there. But definitely look at ratios, density, and demographics. Those are super important for us. But then once you do that, then you go, hey, I have the numbers. This is making sense. Let's talk about rent, and they're going to help you through with rent. They're going to help you through tenant improvement. There's a lot of things I'm kind of just throwing out here that are actually like probably full-on videos. That stuff is all really important to know. But once you kind of get the general idea, then of course, then you go there, you take a look, you look at the traffic, you see how does this area look? Does it look like it'd be good for a dentist, or is this little thing tucked away? The numbers make sense, but the building's kind of tucked away. It's in a medical building. I don't like medical buildings. There's all those different factors to look at too. But the number one person that can help you with that is a dental broker. Remember, we almost started to pay for dental broker when we very first initially started, but I think there's so many that do it for quote unquote free now that I don't think you need to pay for a dental broker. So mentality, number 1, location, location, location. Number 2, who's going to help you with that is a dental broker. Number 3 is timing. So timing is really important. Let me give you an option, or let me give you an example of terrible timing. Okay, so you found your spot, your mentality is right, you found your dental broker, you got the location, you negotiated with that person, you've done your letter of intent, they say cool, you've got your lease, you have the lawyers looking at it, everything's looking good, you sign the lease, you're like, cool, we signed the lease, now what? And then you go, oh, okay, let me get the architect because you need to start designing an office. Oh, let me talk to the equipment guys because we need to eventually get equipment. That is like the worst. And I've seen people do this, and it's terrible because what happens is from the moment you sign the lease, you go, yep, we're good. We want to start doing this. Time is not on your side. So your time starts from that moment. So most of the time, the landlords are going to give you some grace period. They go, hey, we know you're not going to open as soon as you sign the lease. You need to build your office. So they'll give you some time. They'll say, hey, you know what? You get 120 days or 150 days to do your build out, which is just basically make the office what it is. So if you go, cool, we signed the lease. Now let's start looking for our office plan. Let's start looking for equipment. Let's start looking for everything. It's going to take you at least the minimum a month in order to even get the process rolling. I'd say minimum a month. It's gonna take you a month or 2. So by the time you get somebody in there, it's already been maybe 60, 70 days. So you're cutting your time in half, and it takes at least 3 months to build it. So you're gonna be behind and behind and behind. So that is not good. So that's an example of terrible timing. Example of good timing would be cool, you found your spot, everything's looking good. You start sending in your letter of intent. That's always first. So there's we call it like the dating period. You're sending your LOI in, and you're trying to negotiate, see if this is actually going to work. And you say, hey, you know what, this is going to work. We're on the same page. Things are making sense. The landlord's cool. They're going to, everything's making sense. Then we say, okay, now it's time for the lease negotiation. And lease negotiation is basically, if you have a good LOI, the lease negotiation is just tightening up the loose ends, and you need a lawyer for that. Very important, you need a lawyer for that. So you just want to make sure, hey, if something goes bad, we know exactly what the consequences are for everything, and there's no confusion. So that the lease part is important. So you're in your lease negotiations, and that'll take a month or 2 maybe. And so at that point, you're starting to look at your plans. So you say, hey, dental planner, can you help me out making a plan? So you make your office plan, and then you architect it out, and you may even potentially get the approval from the city and also have your builders in place who are going to make the place. So everybody's set up. So the moment you go, cool, Mr. Landlord, I'm good, let's sign this lease, we're good to go, like the next day, your builders can come in and start building. So compare that example to the other example, you're already like 2 months ahead. And this is huge initially. This is huge because at the start, you don't have much business. So you want to be paying the least amount to the landlord. You want to have some free rent. You want to get your tenant improvement money. All these things will help you be successful. If you don't do this, you're screwed. You're screwed because you're going to be behind. You're going to have to start making payments when you don't have much money, you don't have much business, and then you're going to be afraid to market, and it's everything is downhill. So timing is super important. So those are my top 3 things. I could go on forever because I love this stuff, but the number 1 thing, mentality. Then number 2, location. Number 3 is timing. And if you want, in later YouTube videos, I can go over this more specifics of some of these, because I know when I first started out, I really had no idea. And so we're getting better and better and better at this. I can talk to you about marketing. I can talk to you about negotiations for leases. I can talk to you about tenant improvement. I can talk to you about free rent. I can talk to you about financing. So if you want to know any of that stuff, just leave some comments below and we'll make a video. And thanks again for watching. If you like this, please subscribe and we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.